Every night at 3:17 a.m., my security camera shows someone standing inside my closet, smiling without moving. I still can't say that sentence out loud without feeling like something is watching me while I speak. It started a few months ago, but the weird part is, it didn't feel like it started suddenly. It felt like I was noticing something that had always been there, just waiting for me to pay attention. I was living alone in a small apartment on the outskirts of the city, nothing fancy. One bedroom, thin walls, old wooden closet built into the corner of the room. The kind that creaks when the wind hits the building just right. At first, everything was normal, or at least it seemed normal. But I started waking up at exactly 3:17 a.m., not 3:15, not 3:20, always 3:17. I didn't think much of it at first. People wake up at odd times all the time, stress, sleep cycles, whatever. But every time I woke up, I had the same feeling, like I wasn't alone. I would lie there in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening. Nothing, just silence. But the silence felt wrong, heavy, like it was pressed down on the room. And every single time, without fail, my eyes would drift toward the closet. Closed, still, dark. At first I ignored it. At the time I thought it was just anxiety. Then one night I heard something, a soft sound, like fabric brushing against wood. Inside the closet, I froze. I told myself it was the building settling. Old pipes. Wind, but deep down. I already knew I wasn't going to sleep after that. The next morning I bought a small security camera, nothing fancy. Just a basic motion detect camera I could connect to my phone. I told myself it was for peace of mind. Maybe I was hearing things, maybe I was imagining it, but I needed proof. That night I set it up on my dresser, pointing directly at the closet. I remember laughing at myself a little before bed. I even said out loud, "You're being ridiculous." Then I went to sleep. I woke up at 3:17 a.m. The first thing I did wasn't move. I checked my phone. The camera app was already open. It had recorded motion. My heart started pounding immediately. I opened the footage. At first, everything looked normal, me sleeping, the room dark, the closet closed. Then the timestamp hit 3:17 a.m., and the closet door wasn't closed anymore. It was open just slightly, not wide, just enough for darkness to spill out. I leaned closer to my phone, and that's when I saw it, something inside the closet, standing, perfectly still, facing the camera. I felt my throat go dry. It looked like a person, but not quite, too still, too straight, like it wasn't breathing. And then it smiled, not a normal smile, too wide, too slow, like it was remembering how to smile instead of doing it naturally. I dropped my phone, it hit the bed, and the video kept playing. The figure didn't move, it just stood there inside my closet, smiling into the camera. And then the video ended. I didn't sleep after that. I sat on my bed until morning, staring at the closet, closed again, like nothing happened. I told myself it had to be a glitch, some kind of recording error, because the alternative didn't make sense. People don't stand inside closets at 3:17 a.m. smiling at cameras, at least normal people don't. The next night I tried again. Camera in the same position. This time I stayed awake. I forced myself to watch. 1 a.m. passed. 2 a.m. passed. My eyes were burning, but I refused to sleep. Then I blinked, just once. And when I opened my eyes again, it was 3:17 a.m. I remember checking my phone immediately. The camera had already recorded. My stomach dropped. I opened the footage. And again, the closet was open. And again, something was inside it. But this time it was closer, closer to the door, closer to the edge of the frame. Still smiling, still not moving, just watching. I felt something inside me shift that night, because I realized something that made my skin go cold. It wasn't entering the closet at 3:17. It was already there, waiting for the moment I looked. The next morning, I tried to rationalize it. Sleep deprivation hallucinations, camera malfunction, reflection tricks, but none of it explained the consistency. Always 3:17, always the closet, always the same smile, so I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I started reviewing old footage. Every night for the past week had the same pattern, me sleeping. 3:17 a.m., closet open, figure inside. Smiling, but there was something I hadn't noticed before, something that made my stomach twist. On the first night, the closet door was already slightly open. On the second night, it was a little more open. By the fifth night, it was halfway. Open, it wasn't just appearing. It was changing something in my room over time. Or worse, something was physically interacting with it while I slept. That realization made me stop breathing for a moment. Because if that was true, then it wasn't just showing itself at 3:17. It was doing something when I wasn't watching. And I was the only one who didn't notice. That night, I decided to test something. I placed a small piece of tape on the closet door seam, just to see if it moved, something simple, something logical. I also placed flour on the floor in front of it, just in case something stepped out. I know how that sounds, but I was past the point of feeling silly. I needed answers. I went to bed expecting nothing. But at 3:17 a.m., I woke up again instantly, like something pulled me out of sleep. I grabbed my phone, opened the camera. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. The footage started, closet, open, and the tape was gone, not torn, not hanging. Gone. I sat up in bed immediately. Then I looked at the floor. The flower had footprints, bare footprints, coming out of the closet, stopping right at the edge of my bed. My blood went cold because I hadn't moved, I hadn't woken up. But something had walked right up to me and stood there, watching me sleep. I checked the camera again, hoping for anything that would make sense. And there it was, the figure, closer than before, standing just outside the closet now, still smiling. But this time, its head tilted slightly, like it was reacting to me noticing, like it knew I was finally aware of it. I backed away from my bed so fast I hit the wall, and then I noticed something I hadn't seen before. My closet wasn't empty during the day either. It never fully felt empty anymore. There was always a sense of pressure in the room, like the air inside it was heavier. That day, I called in sick to work. I sat in my apartment all day staring at that closet, waiting, listening. At one point, I swear I heard breathing coming from inside it. But every time I checked, it was silent. Still closed. That's when I made a decision. I was going to stay awake all night and physically watch it. No camera, no filters, just my eyes. If something was there, I would see it. Simple. That night, I sat on my bed with the lights on, staring at the closet. I didn't blink much. I didn't move. Hours passed, and then I made the mistake of looking at my phone. Just for a second. When I looked back up, the closet door was open. I didn't hear it. I didn't see it move. It was just open, and something inside was smiling at me. But this time it wasn't just standing. It was closer, right at the edge, like it was about to step out. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe, and then I heard something, my own voice, very softly, coming from inside the closet. It said my name, and then it said, "You already saw me." I don't remember moving, but I must have slammed the door shut. Because the next thing I knew, I was sitting on the floor on the other side of the room, shaking uncontrollably. The closet was closed again, but I knew something had changed, because now it wasn't just appearing at night, it was reacting to me. The next morning, I did something desperate. I checked every recording again, frame by frame, and I found something I missed. In every single video before 3:17, there was a split-second distortion in the image, like the camera was briefly focused on something else, something already in the room, something I couldn't see. And that's when I realized something that made my stomach drop. The figure wasn't coming from the closet. The closet was just where I was allowed to see it. That night, I refused to sleep again. I stayed awake longer than I ever had. I even tried drinking coffee after coffee just to stay alert. But fatigue hits differently when you're afraid. At around 3 a.m., my vision started blurring. I fought it. I really did. But then I blinked. And when I opened my eyes, I was already looking at the closet, open. And this time, the figure wasn't smiling. It was waiting, like it had stopped performing, like the smile was just something it did for me, something it no longer needed, and then it stepped forward, just one step, out of the closet, into my room. I backed up instinctively, but my body wouldn't cooperate properly. It felt like my muscles weren't responding fast enough, like I was moving through something thick. The air itself felt wrong, and then it spoke again, not from the closet this time, from everywhere, from inside my head. "You keep watching me." I tried to speak. Nothing came out. It took another step, and I saw it more clearly than ever. It looked like a person shaped wrong, too symmetrical, too still even when moving, like motion itself didn't belong to it. Then it said something that made everything worse. "I started watching back when you installed the camera." That detail hit me harder than anything else because I realized something horrifying. The camera wasn't protecting me. It was confirming my location every night, every recording, every 3:17 a.m. moment. It wasn't just showing me what was there. It was telling it where I was. The figure tilted its head again and smiled slightly, not wide this time, just enough to show it had been right all along. Then it stepped closer and closer until I couldn't tell where the closet ended anymore, and I did something I still can't explain. I asked it what it wanted. My voice cracked when I said it, and for the first time it didn't answer immediately. It just stood there, watching me. Then it said something that still echoes in my head every night. "I want you to stop waking up at 3:17. That didn't make sense until it added, "Because that's when you're closest to me." And that's when everything in my memory started to feel wrong, because I suddenly couldn't remember falling asleep naturally anymore. I couldn't remember dreams. I couldn't remember uninterrupted nights. Only 3:17, always 3:17, like it wasn't just a time, it was a point, a place, a moment where something overlapped. The figure stepped back into the closet slowly, and before disappearing completely, it smiled again. But this time it felt familiar, like I had seen it before I ever installed the camera. The closet closed, and I didn't wake up at 3:17 the next night. I didn't wake up at all, not for days. When I finally did, the camera was gone. But my phone still had the app, still had recordings. Only now, every file showed the same thing, me standing inside the closet, smiling, waiting. And the timestamp on every single one, 3:17 a.m. Always. And the worst part is, I don't know if I was ever the one watching it, or if I was the one it was watching all along.